Armstrong, it's out to get me. Got me doing things I'll never do, and you don't think I'll ever. Ooh, ooh. I swear to God. Connection, yay. I swear to God. Funny Donald Trump moments.
Someone in charge of
You'll be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
In the last 3 polls, I'm beating you. So, you shouldn't misrepresent.
Okay, here we go. This is awesome.
It's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
In the last 3 polls, I'm beating you. So, you shouldn't misrepresent how well you're doing with the polls. You don't have to say that. In fact, I was all for you until you started doing that, because that's a misrepresentation. Number one. Number two, this isn't me saying it. I don't care. I think I'm going to win fair and square. I don't have to win this way. Thank you. Lawrence Tribe and numerous from Harvard, said that there is a serious question as to whether or not Ted can do this, okay? There are other attorneys that feel, and very, very fine constitutional attorneys, that feel that because he was not born on the land, he cannot run for office.
I made a mistake using a private email.
That's for sure.
And if I had to do it over again, I would obviously do it differently. But I'm not going to make any excuses. It was a mistake, and I take responsibility for that.
Mr. Trump? That was more than a mistake. That was done purposely, okay? That was not a mistake. That was done purposely. When you have your staff taking the Fifth Amendment, taking the Fifth, so they're not prosecuted. When you have the man that set up the illegal server taking the Fifth, I think it's disgraceful. And believe me, this country thinks it's disgraceful. It really thinks it's disgraceful also. Hillary Clinton wanted the wall. Hillary Clinton fought for the wall in 2006 or thereabouts. Now, she never gets anything done, so naturally the wall wasn't built. When she started talking about this, it was really very recently. She's been doing this for 30 years. And why hasn't she made the agreements better? Secretary Clinton and others, politicians, should have been doing this for years, not right now because of the fact that we've created a movement. The toughest man on Sheriff Joe Arpaio, and 2 days ago, he totally endorsed me. So, thank you. I said about language, my language. 2 days ago, he said he would take his pants off and moon everybody, and that's fine. Nobody reports that. He gets up and says that, and then he tells me, oh, my language was a little bit rough.
Okay.
My language. Governor Casey.
Feeling that by the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything that's ever happened.
Why not? Well, I also happen to call him a lightweight, okay, and I have said that, so I would like to take that back. He's really not that much of a lightweight. And as far as, and I have to say this, He hit my hands. Nobody has ever hit my hands. I've never heard of this one. Look at those hands. Are they small hands? And he referred to my hands. If they're small, something else must be small. I guarantee you there's no problem. I guarantee you. Well, let's see. I'm at 42 and you're at 3. So far I'm doing better. This little guy has lied so much about my record. Here we go. He has lied so much about my record.
Senator Rubio, why don't you let him?
And I will tell you this. First of all, I got a call from my sister and brother tonight. And they said, we had no idea Dad gave you $200 million. Believe me, I started off with $1 million. I built a company that's worth more than $10 billion. And I say it not in a bragging way, but that's the kind of thinking we need. Very low debt, tremendous cash flow. My financials they're all in there with the federal elections. You've seen them. Everybody's seen them. I say it only because that's the kind of thinking this country needs with $19 trillion in debt. Believe me.
You support the national right to carry law. Why so?
Well, let me just tell you before we go any further, in Chicago, which has the toughest gun laws in the United States, probably you could say by far, they have more gun violence than any other city. So we have the toughest laws and you have tremendous gun violence. I am a very strong supporter of the Second Amendment, and I don't know if Hillary was saying it in a sarcastic manner, but I'm very proud to have the endorsement of the NRA, and it's the earliest endorsement they've ever given to anybody who ran for president. I'm putting in more than, by the time it's finished, I'll have more than $100 million invested. Pretty much self-funding mine. We're raising money for the Republican Party, and we're doing tremendously on the small donation, $61 average or so. I asked Hillary, why doesn't she made $250 million by being in office? She used the power of her office to make a lot of money. Why isn't she funding, not for $100 million, but why don't you put 10 or 20 or 25 or $30 million into your own campaign? It's $30 million less for special interests that will tell you exactly what to do. And it would really, I think, be a nice sign to the American public. Why aren't you putting some money in? You have a lot of it. You've made a lot of it because of the fact that you've been in office. You made a lot of it while you were Secretary of State, actually. So why aren't you putting money into your own campaign? I'm just curious. I never on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter right there. Millions of women, cervical cancer, breast cancer, are helped by Planned Parenthood. So you can say whatever you want, but they have millions of women going through Planned Parenthood that are helped greatly. And I wouldn't fund it. I would defund it because of the abortion factor.
Oh no.
Don't like fat
What happened?
pigs, dogs, slobs.
It threw me into another lobby, I think.
Your Twitter account.
Only Rosie O'Donnell. First of all, Rand Paul shouldn't even be on this stage. He's number 11. He's got 1% in the polls, and how he got up here, there's far too many people. Anyway, but you were there, and you were Secretary of State when it was a little infant. Now it's in over 30 countries. And you're going to stop them? I don't think so.
Will you start a trade war with Mexico?
Well, you know, I don't mind trade wars. Well, we're losing $58 billion a year. You want to know the truth? We're losing so much. We're losing so much with Mexico and China. With China, we're losing $500 billion a year. And then people say, oh, don't we want to trade? I don't mind trading, but I don't want to lose $500 billion. I don't want to lose $58 billion. Mexico just took Carrier Corporation, maker of air conditioners. They just took Ford. They're building a $2.5 billion plant. They just took Nabisco out of Chicago. And I always say I'm not having Oreos anymore, which is true, by the way. But they just took a big plant from Nabisco into Mexico. They're taking our businesses. I don't mind. Look, now she's blaming. She got caught in a total lie. Her papers went out to all her friends at the banks, Goldman Sachs and everybody else. And she said things, WikiLeaks, that just came out. And she lied. Now she's blaming the lie on the late, great Abraham Lincoln. That's one that I haven't. Okay, Honest Abe. Honest Abe never lied. That's the good thing. That's the big difference between Abraham Lincoln and you. That's a big, big difference. We're talking about some difference. You're going to fight ISIS first. You fight ISIS first. Right now you have Russia, you have Iran, you have them with Assad, and you have them with Syria. You have to knock out ISIS. They're chopping off heads. These are animals. You have to knock them out. You have to knock them off strong. You decide what to do after. You can't fight two wars at one time. If you listen to him and you listen to some of the folks that I've been listening to. That's why we've been in the Middle East for 15 years and we haven't won anything. We've spent $5 trillion in the Middle East because of thinking like that. Obviously, the war in Iraq was a big, fat mistake, all right? Now, you can take it any way you want. And it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced the president, it took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. It took him 5 days before his people told him what to say. And he ultimately said it was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake. So, the world, let me tell you.
This guy's going ham.
Experience, but it's bad experience. We have made so many bad deals during the last. So she's got experience, that I agree, but it's bad experience.
He
Bad,
said back
bad
in
experience.
2006, Gee, I hope it does collapse because then I can go in and buy some and make some money. Well, it did collapse.
That's called business, by the way. And Hillary, I just ask you this. You've been doing this for 30 years. Why are you just thinking about these solutions right now? For 30 years you've been doing it, and now you're just starting to think of solutions.
Well,
I will bring back jobs. You can't bring back jobs.
Well, once it was finally negotiated and the terms were laid out, I wrote about that in...
You called it the
I
gold
wrote
standard.
Well, I hope...
You called it the gold standard of trade
And
deals. You
you know
said it's
what?
the finest deal you've ever seen.
No.
And then you heard what I said about it, and all of a sudden you were against. I will release my tax returns against my lawyer's wishes. When she releases her 33,000 emails that have been deleted, as soon as she releases them, I will release my tax returns, and that's against my lawyers. They say don't do it.
I concluded it was...
President Obama's fault? Is it President Obama's fault?
Look, there
Secretary, is it President Obama's fault?
There are
Because
different...
he's pushing it. I didn't think I'd say this.
Our party host is looking for a match.
If I win,
Ah.
my attorney general, get
Okay.
a special prosecutor to look into your situation, because there has never been so many lies, so much deception. There has never been anything like it.
This bitch is standing up on stage smiling about it.
Let him speak. The people of this country are furious. In my opinion, people that have been long-term workers at the FBI are furious. There has never been anything like this where emails and you get a subpoena.
Yeah, it says joining game session. I might have to restart my whole game over.
3,000 emails. Then you ask them or bleach them as you wish. Very expensive process. So we're gonna get a special
Unable to join. Status
because you know what?
Bamberga?
Have been
Status Bamberga?
destroyed for doing
I don't know what's going on.
of what